The sun burned high above the desert base, casting long shadows over the concrete. Soldiers moved in perfect formation, boots thudding against the ground like drums of war. Inside the command tower, Commander Rayon stood straight, arms crossed. Behind his back, eyes sharp as steel, he was known across the region as a man without mercy. He gave orders like fire and expected them followed without question. His word was law. His presence brought silence. But today, something felt off. There had been reports of a girl found near the outer border, alone, dirty, silent, dressed in torn clothes and sandals with broken straps. She had no ID, no name, and no fear. That last part bothered him the most. Fear was what kept people in check. It was what made them obey. When the guard entered with her, she did not cry. She did not beg. She did not tremble. She just stood, shoulders back, eyes calm, staring at the commander like she knew something he didn't. She was no older than 16. Her hair was messy, skin bruised and dusty, lips cracked from heat, but her stare was bold. Rayon narrowed his eyes and stepped forward. "What's your name?" he asked. She didn't answer. "Where are you from?" Still silence. His voice became sharper. "Speak, or I'll make sure you regret staying quiet." Still nothing. Rayon turned to the guard. "Where did you find her?" The guard, a tall young soldier, answered quickly. "Near the east border, sir, alone. She came out of the abandoned mine tunnels. She didn't run, she just waited. Rayon echoed, frowning. "Yes, sir." "It's like she wanted to be caught." Rayon walked closer to the girl. Standing only a foot away now, he looked down at her. She looked up at him. He tried to read her face, but there was no fear, no confusion, just silence, and something more, something old. "Search her," Rayon ordered. The guard stepped forward and gently patted her down, checking for weapons. Nothing, just a folded cloth hidden in her waistband. He handed it to Rayon. It was an old piece of fabric, red, sun-faded, stained, but in the corner was something unusual, a stitched symbol, a tattoo, almost. Was a circle with a single line through it. Rayon froze. His fingers clutched the cloth tighter. His heart gave a strange, unexpected jerk. He hadn't seen that symbol in nearly 20 years. It had been on a flag, a hidden flag from a mission they were never supposed to talk about. The symbol of the Quiet Ones, a rebel group destroyed during the last great uprising. He stared at the girl again. Couldn't be. She was too young. No one survived that battle. He had seen the bodies himself. He had given the orders. He had told the men to burn the camp. No one walked away from that fire. No one. "Where did you get this?" he asked, his voice lower now. Still, the girl didn't speak. He stepped forward again. "Tell me now, where did you get this?" The girl slowly reached up, and then, without a word, she rolled up the sleeve of her torn shirt. Rayon's breath caught. Ink, faded, old, scarred, but clear. The same symbol. Tattooed on her arm. Rayon stumbled back a step. It was like someone had punched him. The room suddenly felt colder. The walls closer. He stared at the tattoo. Impossible. He had seen that tattoo before. Not just on enemies. On one person. One woman. A woman with eyes like fire, and a voice like thunder. Her name was Layla. She had led the Quiet Ones. She couldn't have. She had died. He had made sure of it. He had seen the flames. He had heard her final scream. This girl couldn't be. No. Everyone out. Rayon barked. The guard looked surprised. "Sir, out," he roared. The guards left. Doors slammed shut. Silence again. Just him and the girl. His hands were shaking now. He didn't know why. He had killed before, ordered deaths, erased entire villages. Why did this girl scare him? Why did that tattoo make him feel like a child again? He walked slowly toward her, his voice almost a whisper now. "Who are you?" Still, she didn't speak. Just stared. That stare. It was her eyes. Same color, same shape, same fire. Layla's fire. You can't be her daughter," he whispered. She's dead." The girl spoke at last, softly, calmly. "You remember her, don't you?" Her voice was clear. No fear, no pain. Like she had waited years to say this. Rayon froze. "Who are you?" he asked again, his voice dry. "I'm the memory you tried to burn," she replied. "The truth you buried under the ash." He stepped back again, his mouth dry. "That's not possible, isn't it?" she asked. "You stood there, didn't you? You watched the fire? You gave the order?" His legs suddenly felt weak. His mind raced back. The fire, the screams, the silence after. But even then, he had felt something was off. There had been one body missing, just one. But he had told himself it didn't matter. The job was done. The mission complete. "You think you killed her," the girl said. "But you didn't." "She's alive?" he asked, unable to stop himself. The girl tilted her head. "Maybe, maybe not. What matters is what you did." "I followed orders," he said. "She was a rebel. She killed our men, and she saved you once," the girl said sharply. That hit him like a slap. Yes, she had, years ago. He had been trapped behind enemy lines, wounded, alone, and Layla had let him live, sent him back a message of peace. And still he had come back with fire. "I didn't know," he whispered. "I didn't know she had a child." "You didn't care," the girl snapped. For a moment, they both stood in silence, her arms crossed, his fists clenched. Then she said, "You're afraid now." Not because I might hurt you, but because I'm a truth you can't kill. Rayan turned away, tried to breathe. His chest was tight, his eyes burned. He couldn't think, couldn't speak. The door suddenly creaked, a faint sound. Someone was still there, listening, watching. Rayan walked to the door, opened it fast. No one, just a shadow slipping around the corner. Someone had heard everything. He slammed the door shut and turned back. The girl was sitting now, calmly like a storm after lightning. You've already lost, she said quietly. Even if you lock me away, even if you try to silence me again, I carry her in me, in my voice, in my tattoo. You can't bury the past forever. Rayan sat down. He felt tired, older than ever before. He stared at the girl for a long time, then finally asked, "What do you want from me?" She looked him in the eye and replied, "Justice." He closed his eyes and whispered, "Then you better be ready for war." In the hallway, unseen, the shadow who had listened earlier reached for a radio and quietly spoke 3 words. "She has returned." Commander Rayan didn't sleep that night. The desert wind howled outside his window, but the sound inside his head was louder. It was the girl's voice, her eyes. That tattoo, justice. That word echoed again and again in his mind like a curse. For the first time in years, Rayan doubted himself. He had built his career on loyalty, precision, and obedience. But now everything felt cracked, fragile. His hands, once steady, trembled slightly as he poured himself a glass of water. Her words had struck something deep inside. A door he had kept locked for years had opened, and behind it were the ghosts. He stared out into the dark. Somewhere in this base, that girl was being held under tight security. And yet, he felt she wasn't the prisoner. He was. The air felt heavy. Something was shifting. Down below, inside a cold underground cell, the girl sat cross-legged on a rough mat, eyes closed. She wasn't afraid. She had waited for this moment her whole life. The base smelled like iron, oil, and sweat. But underneath that, she could smell something else. Fear, not hers. Theirs. The guards watched her like she was a bomb. One wrong word, one step, and they didn't know what she might do. She didn't need to do much. Her silence was louder than any scream. She thought of her mother, her voice, her stories, her promises. One day, the man who gave the order will look into your eyes, and he will remember. You won't need to raise your voice. Truth will do the work. She had trained for years, moving through villages, gathering whispers, learning survival. Her mother had stayed in the shadows to protect her, and now it was her turn to step into the light. She hadn't expected to meet the commander so soon, but she had seen something in his eyes. Guilt. It was small, buried deep, but it was there. That gave her an edge. Back in his office, Rayan opened an old metal box. Inside were files, locked memories, papers marked classified. He pulled out one envelope, yellowed with time. On the corner, written in faded ink, Operation Black Echo. His fingers paused. He hadn't opened it in 17 years. His breath grew shallow as he tore it open. Inside were reports, maps, and a photograph. A woman with wild hair and fierce eyes stood in a burning village. Behind her, a symbol drawn in smoke and fire. The same one the girl wore on her skin. Rayan stared at it. Time blurred. The photo made his heart ache. Layla, she had once offered peace, and he had answered with fire. Not because he wanted to, but because he was told to. Because obedience was safer than questioning orders. Because the real enemy was never just outside, was inside the chain of command. He had buried this truth so deep, even his conscience had forgotten. Until now, there was a knock. Rayan quickly shut the file and turned. A young officer stepped in, saluted. "Sir, General Kaif is requesting a video call. Urgent." Rayan stood, face neutral, put him through. The screen came to life. General Kaif's face appeared calm, cold, watchful. He was an old friend and a powerful enemy if crossed. "I heard about your visitor," Kaif said. His voice was flat, but there was danger behind it. "She's just a girl," Rayan replied. "That's not just a girl," Kaif snapped. "You saw the tattoo, didn't you?" Rayan stayed silent. Kaif continued. "That symbol died with the quiet ones, and anyone carrying it is a threat. You know what must be done." Rayan felt his stomach turn. "She's a child." "So? Was her mother when she first picked up a gun?" Kaif said coldly. "Don't forget who gave you your position, Rayan. Don't make the mistake of growing a heart now." The screen went black. Rayan stood still. The order was clear. Eliminate the girl. Erase the past. Again, but something inside him refused to move. He wasn't the same man anymore. In the underground cell, the girl heard footsteps. Heavy ones. Not the usual guard. She looked up. A man entered, middle-aged, thick beard, sharp eyes. He closed the door behind him. "You don't remember me, do you?" he asked. She stared. "Should I?" "I was there," he said. "When your village burned? I saw your mother hold you in her arms as the fire spread. I thought you both died. Clearly you were wrong," she said quietly. The man chuckled darkly. "You were just a baby, and now, here you are, back from the dead. That scares people, you know." "Good," she said. "Let them be scared." He leaned closer. "Tell me, what's your plan? Come here. Show off your tattoo. And what, you think guilt is enough to stop men like Rayan? Like Kaif?" "Guilt is a seed," she said calmly. It grows in silence. And when it blooms, even stone breaks. The man smiled slowly. You're like her, your mother, fierce. But this isn't a fairy tale. They won't let you live. They'll make you disappear like they did her. She's not dead, the girl said. The man paused. How do you know? Because I never felt her leave. The door opened again. Another guard entered, whispered something to the bearded man. He frowned. Change of plans. You're being moved. To where execution block. The girl stood without fear. Tell Rayan he'll have to look me in the eyes before I die. The guards took her down silent halls. The sun was rising outside. A soft orange glow filled the narrow windows. Rayan stood waiting, his eyes tired, his face unreadable. The guards pushed the girl forward. She walked without resistance. Rayan raised a hand. Leave us. The guards hesitated, then obeyed. Now alone, the girl and the commander faced each other again. You were going to kill me, she said. I was told to, he replied. And do you always follow orders? She asked. Rayan looked away. I used to, until I looked at your face. Silence. Then the girl stepped forward. I'm not here to beg. I'm not here to cry. I just want you to look me in the eye and say it. Say what? That you knew what you did. That you knew we were human. That you saw her die and felt nothing. Rayan's voice broke. I did feel something. What fear? He took a deep breath because she was stronger than all of us. And we destroyed her to feel powerful. We lied to ourselves. Called her a threat. But she was only asking for peace and I killed her for that. The girl looked down, tears forming but not falling. Rayan stepped closer. What's your name? She looked up. Amana. He froze. The name meant something sacred. She named you Hope. He whispered. Just then, alarms blared through the base. Sirens echoed. Voices shouted. Rayan grabbed the radio. What's happening, sir? A fire in the lower barracks. We're under attack. Rayan looked at Amana. She said nothing. Did you plan this? He asked. She shook her head. Not the only one who remembers. Suddenly the lights flickered. A loud boom shook the building. Rayan reached for his pistol. Another explosion. This time closer. He looked at Amana. Come with me now. She hesitated. Why? Because they'll kill us both. He led her down a narrow hallway. Dust fell from the ceiling. Soldiers ran in panic. Rayan and Amana moved quickly. They entered a hidden elevator, went down to the old war tunnels under the base. He used a key only commanders had. Inside the tunnel, quiet again. She looked at him. Why are you helping me? He didn't answer at first. Then he said, because for the first time in my life, I want to do something I wasn't ordered to. But as the elevator rose again behind them, a voice spoke through the radio. She's gone. Rayan helped her escape. It was General Kaif, and he was coming. The war tunnels were cold and dark, the only light coming from the flickering bulbs hanging low from the cracked ceiling. Commander Rayan held Amana's hand tight as they moved deeper into the underground maze. His heart pounded fast, not from fear of the enemy, but from the weight of what he had done. He had just betrayed his own army. Helped the very girl they wanted dead. He glanced at Amana, who walked steadily beside him. Her eyes shone bright in the darkness, fearless as ever. Why did you come back? He asked quietly. Because I had to, she answered without hesitation. Because some truths don't die with fire or time. Because my mother never stopped believing in peace. And because I want you to understand. Rayan stopped and turned to her. Understand what? Why you were lied to. Why they made us enemies. Why they wanted the war to continue, no matter the cost. He swallowed hard, his breath shaky. I want to believe you. They kept walking until they reached a large metal door, rusted but still strong. Rayan took out a set of keys and unlocked it carefully. Inside was a small room, filled with old papers, maps, and weapons left from years ago. He lit a candle. Shadows danced on the walls. This used to be our secret base, he said softly. A place where rebels and soldiers tried to find common ground, where peace was more than a dream. Amana looked around, touching the worn wood of a table. I heard stories from my mother, she said. She told me about this place, about the man who almost changed everything. Rayan's eyes lowered. I was young and blind then. I believed orders were justice. I didn't see the cost. She stepped closer. What happened? Betrayal, he said. From inside, General Kaif wanted war, power, money. He destroyed every chance for peace. He blamed us. He blamed your mother. And he hid the truth. Amana's fists clenched. We were both pawns. Yes, Rayan's voice broke. But the worst part is, I helped him. She looked at him, pain and anger mixing with something else. Forgiveness. I want to fix this, he said. Help me bring the truth to light. Suddenly, footsteps echoed in the tunnel. They froze. We're not alone, Amana whispered. A figure emerged from the shadows. A man, tall and rough, face hidden under a hood. You shouldn't be here, he said. You two are playing with fire. Rayan stepped forward. Who are you? The man lifted his hood slowly. Someone who remembers. Someone who wants justice too. Amana's eyes widened. You knew my mother. I was with her until the end. You're one of the quiet ones, Rayan asked. The man nodded. We survived. We scattered. But the fight isn't over. Then we're on the same side, Amana said. For now. The man smiled faintly. The enemy is closer than you think. General, Kaif is already sending troops. You have little time. Rayan grabbed a dusty radio from the table. We need to warn the others. We need to unite. The man shook his head. The others are scattered, scared. You and Amana are the last hope. Amana took a deep breath. Then we must be strong. But first, Rayan said, we need to find Layla. The man's smile faded. Layla is alive, but she's hidden, injured, waiting. Amana's heart skipped a beat. We have to find her before Kaif does. They gathered old weapons, maps, and supplies. Rayan's hand brushed against a small notebook. He opened it carefully. Inside were names, dates, secret plans. This is proof, he said. Proof of the lies of Kaif's betrayal. Amana nodded. With this, we can expose everything. Suddenly, the ground trembled. Explosions rocked the tunnels. The enemy had found them. We must move, the man urged. Now they ran through narrow corridors, dodging falling debris. Rayan carried the notebook tightly. Amana helped a wounded soldier along the way. Outside, the sun had set. Darkness swallowed the desert. The group reached a hidden exit covered by rocks and sand. Go, Rayan whispered. Tell the world what you've seen, what you know. Amana hesitated. And you? I'll buy you time. No, she said firmly. We do this together. They climbed out into the cold night air. The stars above were silent witnesses. We're not safe yet, the man said. Kahiv's men are everywhere. Suddenly, gunfire cracked through the night. Bullets whizzed past. The group dove behind rocks. Amana fired back, steady and sure. Rayan took cover and returned fire. The fight was fierce, but brief. The attackers retreated. We need allies, Amana said. People who want peace. Rayan nodded. I know some. They moved quickly across the desert, heading toward a remote village. Along the way, Amana shared stories of her mother, how she dreamed of a world where enemies could become friends. Rayan listened, feeling a new hope grow inside him. When they reached the village, an old woman greeted them. Her eyes were kind. But worry Layla sent you, she said. She's here, waiting. The group followed the woman to a small hut. Inside, lying on a worn bed, was Layla. Her hair was gray, face lined with pain and time, but her eyes still burned with fire. Amana rushed forward, kneeling beside her. Mother Layla smiled weakly. You came. Rayan felt tears sting his eyes. I'm sorry, he whispered. For everything. Layla reached out, touching Amana's cheek. You have to be strong. The war isn't over. But with truth and courage, peace can come. Suddenly, footsteps outside. Soldiers, caves, men. The door burst open. Stop them, a voice shouted. Gunfire erupted. Layla grabbed Amana's hand. Run, she cried. Rayan covered their escape. Bullets grazed his arm. He fell but dragged himself forward. Amana and Layla fled into the night. The battle had begun. But now, for the first time, they had hope. Together, they would fight for justice, for peace, for the truth that no tattoo could hide. The desert night was cold, and the wind whispered secrets of battles long past. Rayan lay hidden behind a jagged rock, his arm burning where the bullet had grazed him. Pain throbbed in every movement, but his mind was sharper than ever. He watched Amana and Layla disappear into the dark, their figures swallowed by shadows. His breath came in ragged gasps, but he forced himself to stand. The war was no longer just around him, it was inside him. He knew the truth now, and it burned like fire. He had to act slowly. He pulled out his radio. This is Commander Rayan. To all loyal units, Kaif has betrayed us. The truth is buried deep, but I will bring it to light. Stand with me, silence answered him. For a moment, he feared he had lost everything. Then a crackling voice responded, Commander, we stand with you, ready for orders. A small victory, but the fight had only begun. Meanwhile, Amana and Layla ran through rocky paths, every step echoing the urgency in their hearts. Layla's breaths were shallow, her body weak from years in hiding, and wounds that never fully healed. But her spirit remained unbroken. We have to reach the safe house, Layla whispered. It's the last place where we can plan our next move. Amana nodded, holding her mother's hand tight. They won't find us there. But deep down, both women knew that danger was close. Back at the base, General Kaif stood in his command room, his face cold and unreadable. The screens before him showed chaos fires, soldiers defecting, rumors spreading like wildfire. Rayan is a traitor, Kaif said softly, and traitors must be punished. He pressed a button. Send in the hunters. The hunters were the most feared soldiers in the army, merciless, efficient, and loyal only to Kaif. They moved like shadows, leaving destruction wherever they went. Their mission was clear. Find Amana and Layla. Destroy anyone who stood with Rayan. Deep in the safe house, Layla unrolled a map stained with time. Her finger traced paths, old alliances, and secret routes. We need allies, she said. People who remember the truth, who believe in peace. Amana looked at her mother with fierce determination. I'll gather them. I've met many in the villages. They're ready. Layla smiled weakly. You carry more than a tattoo. You carry hope. Outside, a soft knock startled them. Amana opened the door slowly. A young man stood there, eyes cautious but kind. I heard the call, he said. I want to help. Amana nodded. Come in. We need every hand. The safe house soon filled with whispers of hope and plans for rebellion. Old friends reunited, new promises made. Yet beneath the flickering candlelight, a shadow crept closer. The hunters were near. One night, the safe house was attacked. Explosions shattered the quiet. Gunfire tore through the walls. Amana grabbed her mother's arm. Layla led the way through a secret exit, but the hunters were fast. Rayan, injured but determined, fought through the chaos to reach them. Bullets zipped past, and screams filled the air. In the final moment, Rayan threw himself in front of Amana as a shot aimed at her chest. The bullet hit his shoulder. He fell, pain blazing, but smiled weakly. Go, finish this. Amana helped him up, tears in her eyes. I won't leave you. You must, he whispered for her. For peace. Together, they escaped into the night, their hearts pounding with fear and hope. The war was far from over, but now, Rayan carried the weight of his past and the hope for a future. Amana carried the courage of her mother, and Layla carried the fire that would ignite change. The battle lines were drawn. The real fight had begun. The desert sun rose slowly, burning away the night's chill, but the weight on Rayan's shoulders only grew heavier. His wound throbbed, but pain was a small price compared to the storm inside his mind. He sat on a rough rock, watching Amana and Layla talk quietly nearby. Their faces showed exhaustion, but their eyes burned with determination. Rayan cleared his throat. We can't keep running forever, he said. We need a plan. Amana nodded. I've been thinking about that. We need to find others like U.S. soldiers and rebels who want peace, Layla added. But controls most of the army. He's ruthless. He won't stop until we're all silenced. Rayan clenched his fists. Then we fight smarter. We use the shadows, the tunnels, the people who still believe in truth. Amana looked down at her arm, tracing the faded tattoo. This mark. It's not just a symbol. It's a message. To those who remember, Layla smiled faintly. It's a beacon for hope. Suddenly, a noise broke the quiet. Footsteps. Someone approaching fast. Rayan stood quickly, signaling everyone to hide. From the bushes emerged a young woman, face covered in dust, eyes wide but resolute. I heard your message, she said. I'm with the quiet ones. We've been waiting. Amana stepped forward. We need every ally we can get. Where's the rest of your group? The woman's face hardened. Many were captured or killed, but some escaped. We're scattered, but ready to rise. Rayan's mind raced. This was the moment, the chance to turn the tide. But then, a sudden blast echoed nearby. Dust and debris flew. Hunters, the woman hissed. They're closing in. Panic surged, but Rayan held his ground. We move now. To the old radio tower. We can send a broadcast. Expose Kaif. Layla looked worried, but nodded. It's risky, but necessary. The group hurried through rocky paths, hearts pounding. They reached the tower, its metal frame creaking in the wind. Inside, old equipment waited, relics of a forgotten war. Rayan powered up the radio, static crackling through the speakers. He adjusted the frequency and spoke into the microphone. This is Commander Rayan. To all who hear, the truth must be known. General Kaif is a traitor. He has betrayed his own people for power. The war you fight is a lie. Outside, shadows gathered. Kaif's hunters surrounded the tower. Weapons? Ready. Amana looked at Rayan. We need more than words. We need proof. Rayan nodded. The files, the operation reports. I kept them hidden here. Layla helped retrieve the documents, handing them to Amana. Take these. Make sure the world sees them. Amana clutched the papers, her heart steady. She stepped to the microphone. I am Amana, daughter of Layla. This is our story. A story of pain, betrayal, and hope. Listen, and know the truth. The broadcast began to spread across the land. Soldiers stopped, listening. Civilians paused. Whispers turned into conversations. Fear into courage. But just as hope grew, the radio tower shook violently. Explosions rocked the base of the structure. The hunters were attacking, Rayan yelled. Defend the tower. Bullets flew. Chaos erupted. Amana grabbed Layla's hand, pulling her to safety as the tower began to collapse. Rayan stayed behind, fighting fiercely, buying time for the other. Smoke filled the air. The ground trembled. Then, with a deafening crash, the tower fell. Silence. Then a faint crackle. The broadcast continued. Faint, but alive. Amana smiled through tears. We did it. But the cost was clear. Rayan was missing. The others looked at each other, fear and determination mixing. The war was not over. It had only just begun. Darkness covered the desert as the group gathered around a small fire, faces worn and tired but eyes still burning with hope. Amana held the worn papers tight, proof of General Kahiv's lies and betrayals. She looked at Layla, whose eyes were heavy with years of pain but filled with pride. We have the truth now, Amana said softly. But who will listen? Layla smiled faintly. People listen when hope speaks louder than fear. Suddenly, a distant sound broke the silence. Footsteps. Everyone tensed. From the shadows, a figure emerged, slow and steady. Rayan, his clothes torn, arm bandaged, but alive. Amana rushed to him, tears falling freely. "Where were you?" she asked. He smiled weakly, fighting, surviving. "For you." Rayan joined the fire, sharing what he had learned during his time alone. "Kaif's power runs deeper than we thought. He has spies everywhere. We must move carefully." Layla nodded. "We need to find the hidden allies, those who can tip the scales." Amana clenched her fists. "Then we find them." One by one. The next days were filled with whispered meetings, secret travels, and careful plans. Amana led the way, using the tattoo as a sign to those who remembered the quiet ones. Some responded with hope, others with fear. But slowly, a network grew. Soldiers, villagers, rebels all, ready to stand against the lies. But the enemy was close. One night, as they rested in an abandoned village, alarms screamed. Kaif's hunters had found them. The battle was fierce. Gunfire echoed. Friends fell. Amana fought with every ounce of strength. She saw Layla injured, falling behind. Rayan covered their retreat, taking a bullet meant for Amana. Blood stained the sand, but their spirit remained unbroken. After the fight, as dawn broke, Amana sat beside Rayan, pressing a cloth to his wound. "We can't lose you," she whispered. He smiled weakly. "You won't? Not while I breathe." They knew the road ahead was dangerous, but for the first time, they believed in victory. That belief gave them power, and with power came risks. In the shadows, General Kaif watched their moves, his face twisted with rage. "They think they can defy me," he growled. "Send everything we have. End this rebellion before it begins." The war was no longer just about soldiers and rebels. It was about truth and lies, love and hate, betrayal and forgiveness. Amana looked at the tattoo on her arm, feeling its weight. It was more than ink. It was a promise, a legacy, a call to fight for a better world. With Rayan and Layla by her side, she was ready to face whatever came next. The story was far from over, but now, the girl with the tattoo was not alone. Together, they would challenge the darkness, and the world would watch. The desert winds howled through the empty streets of the small town where Amana, Layla, and Rayan had sought refuge. The moon hung low, casting pale light on the cracked walls and broken windows. Despite the silence, danger lurked everywhere. General Cave's reach was long, and his hunters were relentless. Rayan sat by the fire, his shoulders still wounded but healing slowly. Amana sat beside him, tracing the tattoo on her arm with gentle fingers. "We've come far," she whispered. Layla looked at them both, eyes full of hope and worry. But the hardest part is ahead. The trio had managed to gather a small group of rebels and loyal soldiers. They met in secret, planning their next move to expose Kaif and end the war. The proof was in their hands, the files, the stories, the broadcast. Yet, fear still gripped their hearts. Could the people believe them? Were they strong enough to face Kaif's power? One evening, a messenger arrived, breathless and urgent. "Kaif has captured one of our spies. He knows about the safe house. He's sending troops to attack within hours." Panic spread like wildfire. Amana stood tall. "We will not run again. This time, we fight." The group prepared for battle. Weapons were checked. Strategies whispered. Layla helped the injured, giving strength with her words. Rayan looked at Amana, pride shining in his eyes. "You carry the legacy of your mother, and you carry our hope." The first shots rang out just before dawn. The battle was brutal. Gunfire echoed through the valley. Explosions lit the sky. Amana fought with fierce determination, protecting Layla and guiding the rebels. Rayan led a group to flank the attackers. But the enemy was prepared. General Kaif himself appeared on the battlefield, his presence chilling. "Surrender now," he commanded, "or die with your lies." Amana stepped forward, voice steady. "We will never surrender. The truth is our weapon." The fight intensified. Friends fell. Blood stained the sand. Yet, amidst the chaos, a spark of hope ignited. The people watching from their homes began to rise. Soldiers who had been silent started to question their orders. Villagers gathered, some joining the fight, others providing aid. The tide was turning. Kaif's forces faltered, unable to control the growing rebellion. In the heat of the battle, Amana faced Kaif himself. Their eyes locked fire against ice. "Your reign ends here," she said. Kaif laughed coldly. "You think a tattoo and stories can stop me?" "It's more than that," Amana replied. "It's the truth." With a sudden move, Kaif lunged, but Amana dodged, her heart pounding. The fight was fierce and close, but just as Kaif gained the upper hand, Rayan intervened, knocking him back. "This is for the future," Rayan said fiercely. Together, Amana, Layla, and Rayan stood strong. The battle raged until the sun rose, painting the sky with colors of hope and sacrifice. When the dust settled, Kaif's army was broken. He was captured, his lies exposed. The people cheered, their voices rising in celebration and relief. Amana looked at the tattoo on her arm, now a symbol of victory and peace. Layla smiled, tears shining. "This is just the beginning." Rayan nodded, his heart lighter than it had been in years. The war was over, but the healing had just begun. Together, they would rebuild. Together, they would remember. And the world would never forget the girl with the tattoo who changed everything. The victory over General Kaif's forces had sent shockwaves across the land. For the first time in years, people dared to hope. Villages that had lived in fear whispered stories of rebellion and courage. Cities once silent began to hum with talk of change. But victory came with its own price. Amana sat quietly in the small room that had become their headquarters. Layla rested nearby, still recovering from wounds but growing stronger each day. Rayan paced back and forth, his mind restless. "We have won the battle," he said softly, "but the war for peace is just beginning." Amana looked up, her eyes filled with determination. "We must rebuild trust. We must bring those who are lost back into the fold." Layla nodded. "There will be those who resist. Old wounds don't heal overnight." Rayan stopped and turned to them. "I have a plan, a way to unite the scattered people and bring real change." He laid out a map, marking villages, cities, and safe zones. "We will travel, speak to leaders, share our story. Show them the proof of Kaif's lies and the strength of our movement." Amana smiled. "We carry more than weapons. We carry hope." Their journey began under the hot sun and open skies. Each place they visited told a story of pain and resilience. Some welcomed them with open arms, others met them with suspicion. But Amana's tattoo and the story of her mother opened doors and hearts. Along the way, they met a young teacher in a small town. She had lost family to the war, but refused to give up. "Education is the key," she said. "If we teach the children the truth, the cycle will end." Amana agreed. "We will support your school. Together we can build a better future." In another village they encountered elders who had seen too much suffering. Their faces were lined with grief and wisdom. "Trust is fragile," one elder warned, "but your courage gives us strength." Rayan spoke at gatherings, telling his story of regret and hope. Layla's voice carried like fire, inspiring those who listened. Slowly, the movement grew, but danger still lurked. Kaif's loyalists had not disappeared. They struck in shadows, sabotaging efforts, spreading fear. One night, their camp was attacked. Explosions shattered tents, flames licking the night sky. Amana and the group fought to defend their people. Layla was hurt again, but this time, the community rallied. They tended wounds, shared food, and held each other close. "We are stronger together," Amana said. "Our scars make us family." The journey was long, the battles many. But with every step, they healed wounds not just of the land but of the heart. News of their fight spread beyond borders, inspiring others to rise. Messages of solidarity came from distant lands. Support poured in, small but powerful. Amana looked at the tattoo on her arm, now a symbol of unity and resilience. It was more than ink, it was a promise, a legacy, a beacon. The story of a girl who once faced death and rose to lead a nation toward peace. As the sun set over the desert, Amana, Layla, and Rayan stood together, ready for whatever the future held. The path ahead was uncertain, but their hearts were strong together. They would write the next chapter, a chapter of hope, healing, and lasting peace. The victory over General Kaif's forces had sent shockwaves across the land. For the first time in years, people dared to hope. Villages that had lived in fear whispered stories of rebellion and courage. Cities once silent began to hum with talk of change. But victory came with its own price. Amana sat quietly in the small room that had become their headquarters. Layla rested nearby, still recovering from wounds but growing stronger each day. Rayan paced back and forth, his mind restless. "We have won the battle," he said softly, "but the war for peace is just beginning." Amana looked up, her eyes filled with determination. "We must rebuild trust. We must bring those who are lost back into the fold." Layla nodded. "There will be those who resist. Old wounds don't heal overnight." Rayan stopped and turned to them. "I have a plan, a way to unite the scattered people and bring real change." He laid out a map, marking villages, cities, and safe zones. "We will travel, speak to leaders, share our story. Show them the proof of Kaif's lies and the strength of our movement." Amana smiled. "We carry more than weapons. We carry hope." Their journey began under the hot sun and open skies. Each place they visited told a story of pain and resilience. Some welcomed them with open arms, others met them with suspicion. But Amana's tattoo and the story of her mother opened doors and hearts. Along the way, they met a young teacher in a small town. She had lost family to the war, but refused to give up. "Education is the key," she said. "If we teach the children the truth, the cycle will end." Amana agreed. "We will support your school. Together we can build a better future." In another village they encountered elders who had seen too much suffering. Their faces were lined with grief and wisdom. "Trust is fragile," one elder warned, "but your courage gives us strength." Rayan spoke at gatherings, telling his story of regret and hope. Layla's voice carried like fire, inspiring those who listened. Slowly, the movement grew, but danger still lurked. Kaif's loyalists had not disappeared. They struck in shadows, sabotaging efforts, spreading fear. One night, their camp was attacked. Explosions shattered tents, flames licking the night sky. Amana and the group fought to defend their people. Layla was hurt again, but this time, The community rallied. They tended wounds, shared food, and held each other close. "We are stronger together," Amana said. "Our scars make us family." The journey was long, the battles many. But with every step, they healed wounds not just of the land but of the heart. News of their fights spread beyond borders, inspiring others to rise. Messages of solidarity came from distant lands. Support poured in, small but powerful. Amana looked at the tattoo on her arm, now a symbol of unity and resilience. It was more than ink, it was a promise, a legacy, a beacon. The story of a girl who once faced death and rose to lead a nation toward peace. As the sun set over the desert, Amana, Layla, and Rayan stood together, ready for whatever the future held. The path ahead was uncertain, but their hearts were strong together. They would write the next chapter, a chapter of hope, healing, and lasting peace. The news of Amana and her group's journey spread like wildfire. Across towns and cities, people whispered about the girl with the tattoo who defied an empire. Children listened to stories of courage. Families hoped for a new dawn. Yet not everyone welcomed change. In the shadows, old enemies plotted revenge. Rayan, Amana, and Layla traveled tirelessly, their footsteps leaving marks of hope across the parched earth. But each step forward brought new challenges. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the group arrived at a bustling city, its streets alive with merchants and travelers. The city's leaders invited them to speak, eager to hear the truth. Amana stood before a crowd, her voice steady but filled with passion. "This tattoo is a symbol of those who fought for peace, for justice. My mother believed in a world where hatred ends, where we live as one." The crowd listened, some skeptical, others moved. Suddenly, a man stepped forward. His face was stern, eyes cold. "You speak of peace, but what of the chaos you bring? War has left scars too deep to heal." Amana met his gaze. "Peace is born from struggle. Without truth, there is only silence." The man's lips curled into a sneer. "You speak as if you know all, but there are secrets even you do not understand." Rayan stepped in. "We have faced the darkness. We carry the proof. We offer a chance to rebuild." The tension thickened. After the meeting, whispers spread, rumors of betrayal and spies. Amana knew the fight was not just against Kaiv's loyalists, but against fear itself. That night, a letter arrived, sealed with a strange symbol. Amana broke it open. Inside, a warning: not all allies wear smiles. Trust no one. The words chilled her. Layla placed a hand on her shoulder. "Be careful, Amana. The road is full of shadows." Days later, a trusted member of their group disappeared. Panic set in. Amana's heart pounded. Had they been betrayed? The group tightened security, eyes scanning every face. Then, a breakthrough. The missing member left a message hidden in an old book, a clue pointing to a secret meeting. Amana, Rayan, and Layla decided to attend, hoping to find allies and answers. At the meeting, dimly lit and filled with hushed voices, they met leaders from distant regions. Some were hopeful, others wary. Amana spoke of unity and peace, but not all shared her vision. Suddenly, a loud crash interrupted the gathering. Soldiers stormed and hunters loyal to Kaiv's remaining forces. Chaos erupted. Amana fought alongside her friends, their bonds tested in fire. In the melee, she spotted a figure watching from the shadows, a man whose eyes held secrets and pain. Their eyes met briefly before he vanished. Questions burned in Amana's mind. Who was he, friend or foe? As the dust settled, the group fled into the night, hearts heavy but spirits unbroken. Amana looked at her tattoo, feeling its strength. The battle was far from over, but with every challenge, her resolve grew. The girl with the tattoo was no longer just a symbol, she was a leader, a beacon in the darkness. And the world was watching. The news of Amana and her group's journey spread like wildfire. Across towns and cities, people whispered about the girl with the tattoo who defied an empire. Children listened to stories of courage. Families hoped for a new dawn. Yet not everyone welcomed change. In the shadows, old enemies plotted revenge. Rayan, Amana, and Layla traveled tirelessly, their footsteps leaving marks of hope across the parched earth. But each step forward brought new challenges. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the group arrived at a bustling city, its streets alive with merchants and travelers. The city's leaders invited them to speak, eager to hear the truth. Amana stood before a crowd, her voice steady but filled with passion. "This tattoo is a symbol of those who fought for peace, for justice. My mother believed in a world where hatred ends, where we live as one." The crowd listened, some skeptical, others moved. Suddenly, a man stepped forward. His face was stern, eyes cold. "You speak of peace, but what of the chaos you bring? War has left scars too deep to heal." Amana met his gaze. "Peace is born from struggle. Without truth, there is only silence." The man's lips curled into a sneer. "You speak as if you know all, but there are secrets even you do not understand." Rayan stepped in. "We have faced the darkness. We carry the proof. We offer a chance to rebuild." The tension thickened. After the meeting, whispers spread, rumors of betrayal and spies. Amana knew the fight was not just against Kaiv's loyalists, but against fear itself. That night, a letter arrived, sealed with a strange symbol. Amana broke it open. Inside, a warning: not all allies wear smiles. Trust no one. The words chilled her. Layla placed a hand on her shoulder. Be careful, Amana. The road is full of shadows. Days later, a trusted member of their group disappeared. Panic set in. Amana's heart pounded. Had they been betrayed? The group tightened security, eyes scanning every face. Then, a breakthrough. The missing member left a message hidden in an old book, a clue pointing to a secret meeting. Amana, Rayan and Layla decided to attend, hoping to find allies and answers. At the meeting, dimly lit and filled with hushed voices, they met leaders from distant regions. Some were hopeful, others wary. Amana spoke of unity and peace, but not all shared her vision. Suddenly, a loud crash interrupted the gathering. Soldiers stormed in, hunters loyal to Kayiv's remaining forces. Chaos erupted. Amana fought alongside her friends, their bonds tested in fire. In the melee, she spotted a figure watching from the shadows, a man whose eyes held secrets and pain. Their eyes met briefly before he vanished. Questions burned in Amana's mind. Who was he? Friend or foe? As the dust settled, the group fled into the night, hearts heavy but spirits unbroken. Amana looked at her tattoo, feeling its strength. The battle was far from over, but with every challenge, her resolve grew. The girl with the tattoo was no longer just a symbol, she was a leader, a beacon in the darkness. And the world was watching. The morning sun cast long shadows over the camp where Amana and her group had taken refuge. The air was thick with tension and uncertainty. After the recent attack, and the mysterious figure who had appeared at the secret meeting, trust was fragile. Rayan paced back and forth, his mind racing. He knew that betrayal could come from any direction, even from those closest to them. Amana sat quietly, tracing the lines of her tattoo with trembling fingers. It was more than a symbol, now it was a reminder of all they had lost and everything they still had to fight for. Layla approached her gently. We must be strong, not just for ourselves, but for the people who believe in us. Amana nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. News came that a large convoy of Kahif's loyalists was moving toward their location. The hunters were closing in. The group prepared for battle, their faces hardened with determination. In the days that followed, the group fought with courage and skill, using every tactic they had learned. But Kahif's forces were relentless. One night, as they rested, Amana heard a soft noise. She followed it to find the mysterious man from the meeting. His eyes were dark but filled with regret. I'm not your enemy, he whispered. I have information that can help. Amana was torn. Could she trust him? He revealed secrets about Kahif's plans and spies within their own ranks. The betrayal ran deeper than they imagined. With this new knowledge, Amana and Rayan devised a plan to expose the traitors and strike at the heart of Kahif's power. They moved swiftly, gathering allies and preparing for the final battle. As the confrontation drew near, Amana stood before her group. This tattoo is a mark of hope and resistance. Together, we will end this war and build a future where no child fears the night. The battle was fierce and chaotic. Friendships were tested. Lives were lost. But through it all, Amana's spirit never wavered. In the climax, she faced Kahif once more. This time, armed with truth and surrounded by those who believed in her, Kahif fell, defeated and exposed. The people cheered, tears mixing with smiles. Peace was no longer just a dream, it was becoming real. Amana looked at her tattoo, now glowing with meaning. It was a symbol of pain, courage, and hope. Together, with Rayan and Layla, she would lead her people into a new era. The war had ended, but the story of healing and rebuilding had just begun.